Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Cool. Thanks for agreeing to talk to me.
Yeah, definitely. No problem.
So one thing I want to ask you was, do you remember, was there like a first piece of art that you made that you looked at and said, like, oh, I've got something to say? Like,
I have something to say. That's a good. Yeah, I would say I've been an artist my whole life. I've been not a digital artist though. I've done, I've drawn and painted and all that kind of stuff since I was a kid. But I never really had, I had stuff to say about my feelings, I guess. That's where I channeled all of that. But as far as like a message, I would say a lot of my early work, like very early Hoodwinkler stuff. Yeah, like all of it started with a message, I think. I was like really inspired by other kind of like digital artists. Like Third World Elite was probably the first thing that I saw that was interesting to me. And it was all, I guess like dabbled in like spirituality and all that kind of stuff. So I said I want to make something like it. So my first stuff was like kind of like mimicry of him. And it changed a lot since then. So it's pretty far from what he does now, I think. Yeah.
okay.
So from the beginning, yeah.
Where do you think people go, like, emotionally and mentally to appreciate your work?
That's a good question. I honestly have, like, no idea. I, selfishly, like, don't really think a lot about the viewer.
Okay.
It's like very much like whatever I'm going through, I'll put it in art and I guess like hope other people can relate. And whatever reason, I've noticed a lot of, I don't want to say misinterpret, a lot of people don't misinterpret my work, but it's just not, like sometimes people will leave comments or whatever, or tell me how they interpret my work, and it's like totally not what I was thinking when I did it, but like that's what I like about it, is that everyone can kind of approach it from their own personal standpoint. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you should, like, introduce yourself and say where you're located right now, just to...
So I'll go by my artist name because that's what I typically do. So I'm Hoodwinkler. I'm 24. I grew up in the States in Connecticut, and I am currently moving everywhere. So I don't have like a home base, I would say. But yeah, I grew up in Connecticut, and I started making digital art about a little under a year ago, so September of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the reason that you're moving around so much?
My boyfriend is, he's a traveler, and so am I, so we kind of just, like, go wherever the wind takes us type deal. We've also, traveled a lot to, avoid, like, lots of, I guess, like, very restrictive places with COVID.
Yeah.
So we've, like, moved around accordingly so that we can, like, obviously still stay safe and whatnot, but just not be, like, totally locked down. Yeah.
Okay, and so where are you right now?
In Connecticut, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I'm there for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, so your work, like, seems to draw this kind of mixture of humor and I feel like motivational posters, this kind of the vibe. And so in terms of, like, where people have to go emotionally or whatever, it's like, I guess, where are you going when you make this stuff? Like, what's the feeling that you have when you're like, okay, fuck, I have an idea, I'm doing this, and this is working?
I think that's such a good question. How to put it into words. I think like, oftentimes it's something that I need to process, I guess. Or, like, something that I've been thinking about, I guess, as far as, like, inspiration emotionally or where I'm going. A lot of my work is, like, dreams. Like, a lot of it is dreams that I've had. I would say, like, currently my style kind of feels like it's all over the place. Like, my current stuff is not the same at all from where I started or what I was doing in the middle, I guess, of my career. I guess what I'm probably best known for, which is, it's almost like the cheesy internet ad looking stuff where it seems like it's like an advertisement for, like, something spiritual, kind of. That was, like, I guess, questions that I had spiritually about myself or life, or, like, I guess, philosophies and values that I had that I just wanted to put into my work and see if it resonated with people. Now I'm kind of trying to, like, have less of a clear meaning, because I felt like I was kind of dipping my toes into, like, the meme section of art, which I wasn't, like, thrilled about. And I kind of wanted to just, like, trust, I guess, the visual literacy of the people who look at it and kind of, like, leave it a little more open-ended for them to figure out. Because at first it was a lot of, like literally I would, like, write the meaning on the image. Like, I would put text on it, and now I'm kind of trying to move away from that. Just for a bit, because it started to feel kind of like routine. It was losing its, like, authenticity, I guess. And yeah, so I guess now where I'm going emotionally with it is kind of just, like, if I need to process something, if I have, like, I have OCD, so I get, like, obsessive about things. Like, I'll have stuff stuck in my head, quite literally, and art has been a really good way for me to get it out on paper, digital paper, and when I do that, it tends to like, I don't know, just, like, get it out. It's just like a purge, kind of, and then it doesn't stick around so much. Yeah.
You said that it started to feel like it was getting into meme territory, and that you didn't feel like that was a good look for you. So why not?
That's a good question. I think I just wanted to. I wanted it to be more, which is maybe a little, like, snobby of me to say, but I wanted it to be more, like, touching or, like, profound than I felt like it was starting to be. And it also started to feel like a chore where I felt like I had to, like, think of almost kind of like an inspirational quote and then, like, churn it out with some, like, relevant art so that people could, like, pay attention to it for 2 seconds and think it was cool and then move on, as people do with, like, a lot of digital content, particularly memes. And it's just kind of, like, I wanted it to be a little bit more memorable than I felt like it was being. I also felt like the pressure of making meme, like, content was really high because you, like, rely on an algorithm to push it. I don't know. I had the feeling at that point where I was, like, I felt like I had to constantly, like, beat the algorithm. So I had to, like, make something every single day, and I was doing that, and, like, fine, and it all had to be, like, intelligent or, like, profound or, like, funny, but, like, mostly had a lot of meaning for me, and eventually I just kind of, like, burnt out. I was like, I just can't keep up, and I'd rather, and I get bored easily, too, in my, like, life, so I was just like, I have to, I guess, switch it up. Yeah, so that I don't lose interest.
Okay. And so, like, the meme form is, like, too repetitive.
Yeah, it was a little too repetitive. I didn't want to, like, limit I have mixed feelings about this because I know that it's important to brand yourself as a person, and it's not that I didn't like doing that kind of art. And I feel like I probably would be more successful doing that type of art than something that is like a little more all over the place. So it's something that I'm not against circling back to, but I think the way that I was looking at it was not sustainable. So, yeah.
I noticed that your page is like curated now. Like you've gone and like cleaned it up, and there's just like these choice things. So what's that about?
I felt like I just wanted to have what I think is like my best up there. So that's pretty much just like so that I feel like people don't. It's partially because I feel like I want to have my best, and also partially because I want people to like to follow, so they like get to stay up to date before it gets taken away, if that makes sense. Like so that they don't always have access to things, so it like has a following incentive. Exactly. Yeah, I just think it. Yeah, and also I was like advised to do that by someone who is pretty successful on social media. They were just like, you should edit it down to your best, so people pretty much like know what they're getting into when they look at your page. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this one time I was driving at night and I saw a meteor, and it was blue with like a long blue and white tail and like a comet, and it was going in the same direction as the car. And so in sort of like in slow motion for several seconds, I watched this thing like flying along my car, next to my car, and like break up like majestically, like and explode as it like entered the atmosphere. And I was just wondering if there's like anything that you've seen in your life which is not art or a person's work, but just something that's like been really influential to you. I know like your art is very kind of in a dialogue, but yeah, I'd be curious to.
Influential in general, I would say not really. That's not like art. But for specific pieces, 100%, yeah. Like my latest one, for instance, I think it's like that I just posted a couple days ago. It's like a quad or something. It's like a quad going through the woods. That was like something. It was like a situation that I was in that had like a feeling behind it, and I like remembered very clearly the mental image of like booking it on this quad and like just the feelings around it. And so I would say like that kind of stuff is a lot of my art is very like I see something that inspires me in nature, but I would say in general, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, this like I don't know, there's like I have an emotional response to like the reflections on this quad. Like it's just like really, and the way it the clarity of that interacts with like the blur effect on the trees is like yeah, and I'm just wondering if there's like something you saw recently that like anybody could see any day. Like one time I saw the reflection of like a halogen IKEA light in like a IKEA table, like one of those cheap like wood laminated tables, and it's just like a white dot, but if you really look at it, it's like a million different colored tiny dots like that's making this thing. Anything like that?
Honestly, not really. Nothing that's that like minute, I guess. Like I said, a lot of my art is not very like visually inspired. It all comes from like feelings. I'm a very emotional person. Emotions have always like been at the forefront of my life, for better or for worse. And so like if something has feeling around it, I'm gonna want to make art of it. Yeah, like if I and I would say that connects to a visual standpoint, because so for me, like for the quad thing, I was like racing on this quad at night, and then at some point I stopped in a clearing, and I could see like the fireflies, like the lightning bugs, and the sky was like a purplish color, and I think in the the piece that I'm talking about, the sky is like a purplish color too. And it was like just everything about it, like the feeling, the visual image of the speed, like how fast I was going, plus just like how I felt about the whole thing, like the intensity of it, I guess. That I would say that was like what creates that visual aspect, but I would say it's never without the feeling.
Well, I guess maybe we've really pinpointed like why your art works, because when I look at it visually, I'm like, oh, this is such a like technical wonder. Like, just everything just seems to be like in like placed and in this way, and the way the text is affected, like just seems to amplify everything that's going on and kind of mesh in a really nice way. And if it's just emotion that's driving all those decisions unconsciously, then that's super great.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably like I would say like 80% emotions and then 20% like outward symbolism that I'm thinking of. Like, for instance, just again using the quad one just as an example because we're on the topic, like the thing that wasn't a part of my actual memory of being on this quad was like the wolf and the deer that are in the background, and so like I'll symbolically place those in because of the two sides of the situation that I'm in. Like half of it is innocent like a deer, half of it is like predatory like a wolf type situation of the feelings that I'm feeling that are surrounding the situation that I'm in. Yeah.
So it's gone from like making things that look like memes to making fucking tarot cards. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is so funny because I'm coming out with a tarot deck.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, at some point. I don't have a date on it, which I really need to set a date because this has been like a project for a long time now. But yes, there is a tarot deck coming at some point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on the subject, how can people support you?
That's a great question. I think that's honestly a great question because I don't even know. I would say the biggest one is probably how can people support me? I mean, I'm probably should have a Patreon so that I get like a monthly type of support, which like I do have, but I haven't done anything with it. So far, the way that's been the most supportive, I guess, which doesn't really fit with like people who usually they're other artists who buy this, are like commissions for album covers, that kind of stuff. So that's obviously helps so much. So yeah, really like I'll post like prices for stuff that I make, so I pretty much can do a commission for anyone. I'll do like album art, I can do like phone backgrounds, logos, everything like that. But as far as like, so I would say most of the ways that you can support me are service based. Like if you need my services, I'm there, and I'll charge you a fair price type deal. Otherwise, I do make merch, which I need to do more of. So that is always a support and always like cool to me that people wear my art on clothes. And then, or they can just like PayPal me, I guess. And then it will all go towards mostly like equipment because I'm really branching out currently where I'm like, I've been making art on first I started on a phone.
Okay.
From my iPhone, and then I moved up to an iPad. Still kind of make a lot of stuff on my iPad, not gonna lie. And now I'm getting into 3D rendering because I have a big project coming up. So I'm looking, I need like a new computer and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of money that I have goes towards either living expenses or equipment for art.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm on your webpage now, looking at the merch. Definitely psyched on the Life Sucks poster. Super great. But I'm assuming that the services are more, commissions are better for you than people buying your merch. Like you get more.
Yeah, it's way better, I would say. I probably make like 15 tops per item on merch.
Yeah.
Just because I don't, I supply through like Printful because I move around so much, so I don't really have a way to get, and I move in so many different countries, so it's hard for me to, with taxes and everything, like import taxes, it's hard for me to get a stable supplier, I guess, where I can get merchandise at like a much cheaper price, so I kind of have to like rely on an internet dropshipper. So, yes, commissions are the best way, I guess, at this point to support me. I will say, though, I have an upcoming project, which I haven't really announced yet, but I'll announce with you, I'm doing a comic series.
Oh, shit.
I'm very, like, secretive about this because I don't want anyone to steal my idea. But,
okay.
Like a short graphic novel on Instagram, where the chapters will be, like, probably every couple days. And it'll be like a slideshow of a chapter, and it'll have a storyline, and there'll be probably like 7 parts. And I eventually plan on animating it into a short film.
Nice.
But in the meantime, I'll probably sell like hard copies on my website. So I'll get them printed so people can actually buy it as a book, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's another way for me, yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I hope Marco Polo is in it, because I miss Marco Polo. I came back to your page looking for Marco Polo so I could laugh at it again, and it was gone. But there is, like, it was somewhere between your page and your website I found it. Like, it's somewhere still. There's, like, a piece of it somewhere. Well, that's a really exciting project. And, yeah, the dropship thing is great in a way because it means there's no waste, there's no garbage, so people only get one when they want one. And gosh, sorry, you just said so many things. I wanted to ask you, like, what countries are you in, and is that part of your relationship, or like? Yeah, it is. So I'm not Mexican, I'm Canadian and American, but I was living in Mexico for a bit too. Okay.
And I have people in Spain that I sometimes go see, so I'm kind of just, like, all over. It's one of the things I like about digital art is it's so portable, and accessible and cheap for the most part. Like, once there's a couple, like, big one-time purchases, but with, like, minimal upkeep, but as far as digital art versus, like, oil painting or whatever, which I sometimes also do, is super, super less expensive than something like that, yeah, so we pretty much just go wherever.
That's great. Yeah. It's like it's very practical for our modern lifestyle. Cool. Well, let me just look and see if there were any other questions. So now you've told me about 2 new projects: the graphic novel and the tarot deck. What happened? You can't hear me. Yeah, so you've told me about 2 things: that your Instagram secret project and the tarot deck, which also is, like, pending.
Yeah, it's pending. It's been, like, I announced it a while ago, and have just kind of been busy with other things, so I haven't had time. That's an excuse. I have had plenty of time, but I've just been feeling kind of like if I want to do it, I know I want it to be very good. Like, I want to do it very well. So, I'm kind of taking my time with it, I would say. But the comic thing is in full throttle. It's taken longer than I'd like because it's kind of like it's given me, like, a bread trail of things that makes me realize that I need to learn a lot more than what I already know in order to accomplish it. Like, most of my source images are taken from the internet, so they're very, like, spotty. You kind of just, like, get what you get, and you don't get upset type deal, whereas if I'm doing, like, a full-blown character, like, main character type of situation, I'm essentially going to need to animate my own character. I'm going to have to do all the character design, whether that be drawing it, which is not my strong suit, so I've chosen, like, 3D animation. So I have to create all of my characters essentially by hand so that I can really just, like, pose them in the ways that I need them to look, essentially. So that's kind of taken me in a whole other journey of, like, programs and stuff.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Intense. Wow. Okay. And like just as a kind of general other, we talked about this a bit, but like overall, sharing your work on Instagram and Instagram as a platform for you, like how has that worked out for you? Are you sort of, how has it been? And have there been any like, is there one notable experience you can talk about being on Instagram and how that affected whatever?
I
Something.
think sharing it on Instagram has been super helpful and also really annoying at the same time. Because it's like my main platform. It's also the main platform of like a lot of other artists in this like scene of digital art. That's kind of like what we all use. It's awesome because it's allowed me to connect with other digital artists that I feel like I have a group of artists that, we all know each other's names, and I've talked with some of them on the phone, and we kind of like, we're kind of able to just build off of each other in some ways, which is good in some ways. It's also bad in others because it can get kind of repetitive, which I try very hard to push through. So it's good at connecting you to people. It's also been obviously awesome at like just getting the word out, because if it wasn't for Instagram, I have no idea how this would even work at all. Like I just have no idea how I would even have made a name for myself in any way, because it's such like a niche. Like, most people, you like, what am I going to do? Show people in my hometown? And they're just going to be like, I don't understand what this is. So it's been great for that. It's also annoying. I hate the fact that, obviously a lot of stuff has to be censored. You just can't post certain things. The whole, like, thing about getting shadow banned is, like, such a pain, where it's like if you F up in like one little tiny way, then you can get your entire account suspended. It kind of feels like everything you've worked for is always in jeopardy. And also it's a little frustrating, I would say. That feeling of beating the algorithm is annoying too. Like it feels like you're pleasing like an impossible parent or something. Like you constantly have to perform and like post at like a certain time on a certain day, and post every day this many times a week, or else you don't get as many views. Essentially, if it doesn't do well in the first 5 minutes, then you might as well delete it. Like I hate that. I wish that it and like I wish it wasn't about like likes and shares, but it is. I'm on like a social media platform. That's what it's about. And that's what like really pushes your art to go places, is the more engagement that it gets, the better it does, and the more people find out about you and all that kind of stuff. So that's really annoying, I would say. Yeah, that's so it's like a two-edged sword, or whatever they say.
Yeah. Okay. That is understandable, and it's just such an interesting part of the world that it's like making this conversation possible, but also bringing all this like unnecessary anxiety into your process.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's been really nice to meet you and talk to you. And
yeah, it was great meeting you too. Thank you for